I'll go extreme with it. If after your second kid, no more taxes. Income tax zero. Have two kids.
This is
This is the most brilliant policy I've ever heard in my entire life.
This is so dumb.
Why are you laughing?
This is so dumb.
Brianna's like, this is the stupidest, and I was like, this is the best idea.
This is the most brilliant.
truly
This is the
believe
most
that?
brilliant policy I've ever heard in my entire life.
It's pretty stupid.
And there will be two kids in every household in America. This is a great policy. I love it. Why is this a terrible policy?
I'm not sure if you've talked about it a ton on your program, Tim, but we should have made the child tax credit permanent that we expanded in the 2021 American Rescue Act.
Can you explain what that is?
Yeah. So there was a tax credit that was in place, but during the pandemic, it was expanded to be a monthly payment. It also, the amount was increased, so it was up to $3,600 a month for 6 and under, $3,000 for 6 to 17. And then it also was expanded to include people who had too little income to qualify previously. We cut child poverty by nearly in half, instantly. And the reason that we don't have it is because the entire Republican Party and Joe Manchin and Sinema essentially nixed it. But
This is everything she's saying here is dead on. It was amazing how much, I believe it was a $300 check, just how huge an outcome this had on child poverty. I don't no matter where you are, I think we probably all agree children don't have a choice in where they're born or what their parents are up to. This had just a massively positive effect. This is one of the very best programs. It was so disheartening to see it torn apart.
Yeah, I'm in favor of giving people money for their kids. So
yeah.
This is the kind of stuff that's possible in this country to make people less desperate. If you want less crime, make society a broader, more beneficial place for people with a bigger safety net so people don't have to turn to desperation.
Real quick, this is the crazy thing, because I think the only people who disagree with that are establishment Republicans, like the prominent Republican Party members.
But you should talk about it more on your show.
We do. I mean, I think that I'll go extreme with it. If after your second kid, no more taxes. Income tax zero. Have two kids.
This is the most brilliant policy I've ever heard in my entire life.
This is so dumb.
Why are you laughing?
This is so dumb.
Brianna's like, this is the stupidest, and I was like, this is the best idea.
This is the most brilliant. This is the most
that?
brilliant policy I've ever heard in my entire life.
It's pretty stupid.
And there will be two kids in every household in America. This is a great policy. I love it. Why is this a terrible policy?
Because the country would go broke and we couldn't do anything. It is so bad. And Emma is dead on here. This is why, you said, the two movies
why would the country go broke?
I don't know. Inflation would increase substantially.
People are still working.
Because you would have no basis for income tax. Everyone out there would be having children. So the need for all these social services would go through the roof, and the need for infrastructure like schools and everything, society would just go crazy.
We don't know unless we try. We really have to.
But Brianna's bringing up a good point, because it's a twofold effect, because you're incentivizing more people to have more kids.
Yeah.
But then having more kids is going to mean that there's going to be more services required for different people, but then there's going to be less money coming in at the same time.
I say we give it a try.
You're also
This is why Tim Pool has 1 million subscribers right here.
He wants bold ideas.
Listen, overall, I'm in favor of less taxation and less government spending. But that being said, people are the most productive when they're married and they have children.
Of course they are. The productivity will go through the roof.
This is when they become net taxpayers. So this policy would completely wipe out revenue, especially at 2 kids. It is true. And by the way, would it only be until the kids turn 18? So you have kids immediately. When you turn 18, you find a gal, if you're a guy, have 2 kids, and then when they turn 18, when you're 36 years old, you're you know what? Let's get started. 2 more. No new taxes.
Yeah, right. God.
You got to space them out. You really have to space them out.
Oh God, this is why people think Emma did well here, because Tim did so poorly. And
Poorly.
she's
This is
just
brilliant. What are you
dominating.
talking about?
Oh no,
Two
no,
kids.
This is
No
when
taxes.
this is when, by the way,
I mean,
I go out
I
for
know
lunch,
that-
I guess.
There have been certain proposals.
She didn't
you
even
see-
address it.
Did you
She's
see-
just like, all right.
Look, well, I hate to back it up, but you got to see like Tim gives himself a little toast to this. It's so great.
After your second kid, no more taxes.
Watch
Income
this.
tax 0. Have 2 kids, no taxes.
I mean, I know that
None.
there have been certain
He does a little toast.
it's too dumb to engage with.
He does
You
he does a little toast. It's so brilliant.
You can have Tim's face here, like, and you pause it before on Emma's face where she, like, I guess she watches him drink it, and like cut those together and like make all the memes that you want, because Tim is so happy and Emma is like so like dissatisfied with this proposal. Like it's amazing. Like if you just play it for a second and like try to pause it, like
Well,
you'll see.
a lot of people on the left too have the climate change thing where they're like, "Oh my God, if everyone has 2 kids, it'll be a climate disaster." So I could see that playing a role as well.
proposals.
Wait, hold on, just one
in-
second.
there
like-
it is. You saw,
This
you
is
saw,
a good
you
Did
saw
we
her
get it?
face like
Oh.
before. Now this is a bad pause, but
Yeah,
her face
sorry.
that she makes, it's a distinct face. Like you got to see this micro expression.
essentially nixed it. But
Yeah.
this is the kind of stuff that's possible in this country to make people less desperate. If you want less crime, make society a broader,
Why you back it up
more
20
beneficial
minutes,
place
Sean?
I
for
didn't, I didn't
people
go.
with a
I didn't
bigger
click this
safety
at
net,
all.
so
Like,
people don't have
somebody
to.
2
else went
kids,
back.
no
It
taxes.
was me.
I mean, I know that
None.
there have been certain proposals in places
that,
like
that face right there, she's like so
Yeah, where she's
disappointed in
rolling
Tim.
her eyes.
Like,
She
No, but
does.
this
Yeah,
is
very
this
dour.
comes back to the point I was making earlier about how Tim's like efforts to make himself seem moderate are so phony. This is him going, "Look how leftist I am! Boom, no taxes." It's like, come on.
Well, I don't know if it's like phony. I think it's just a stupid routine.
how fast would
is-
Tim get married and have kids if this were implemented?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
He'd do IVF so he could have twins immediately.
Right.
Hungary that
Yep.
are like that, but they are heavily, heavily tilted towards heterosexual families as opposed to if a gay couple wants to adopt or have children. I would, if I'm
I'm like, it's like, so Tim just gave like a really bad policy prescription.
Right. And she
we all kinda
turns
talked
it
about why.
around.
And then she gives like the worst like reason why. Well, this hurts gay people. It's like, oh God, Emma, please, please.
I don't agree with that because I want more taxation, frankly, so that we could have socialized health care. We could have a college for all act, which honestly you could pay for with a tax on Wall Street speculation. It would be incredibly easy. It's only $48 billion a year, which is less than the military budget increase that we did in 21 to 22, which was around $71 billion. I want to do that kind of stuff. And so getting rid of income tax, I would not be in favor of it.
for
But
families.
if you want to create tax incentives for families so that they can raise their kids and
Yeah.
they aren't in poverty, I am all for that, Tim.
The challenge.
I'm for eliminating taxes and raising social services. So I think that's a better position to have because it's obviously more popular. So
Your point about nobody would disagree, I would 100% disagree with that because again,
You don't want tax
there-
credits for people that have babies?
there is not a demonstration that these policies that these work in reducing crime. In fact, we see the
Well,
opposite. If you put up that
not about
homicide
crime.
chart,
Okay, but the issue at hand is not reducing crime. You're coming back to something they're not talking about.
It was originally started before Tim threw out that baby thing. I don't want to go back. Last thing I want to do is go back in the video. But it was like, if you're in favor of reducing crime, you should be working on like reducing desperation. And by the way, this is the point where the crime conversation ends in the video.
Okay.
It's gone.
it
after
starts
Thank goodness.
increasing during the war on poverty, which is the greatest
Wait, 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 wait.
increase in. It's
But
sorry, go ahead.
not talking about crime. In
Well,
relation.
she said if you wanted to deal with crime, this is how.
Well,
you
I'm
do
trying
it.
to connect it to this, but like,
Right.
But
In the
but
broader sense, I think.
the most important thing to take away from this here is that every single Republican voted against the American Rescue Act and the expanded child tax credit. There is one party that is look, it's not
But are
good
you
enough.
saying-
I'm more obviously in the Bernie Sanders wing. I have
But real quick.
deep disagreements with Hillary Clinton-esque neoliberal politicians.
but
yeah, it's the
are you
Democratic
saying-
Party in favor of policies that are going to be helping
The- the-
people on a day-to-day basis like this.
The Republicans voted against a broad bill that included one thing in it. Is that what happened?
Yeah, but they also fought tooth and nail about the actual child tax credit. This was a part of the Inflation Reduction Act negotiations as well. They were not in favor of that too. And Joe Manchin, your senator, right? We're here in West
He's
Virginia.
awful. We hate him.
I mean, you gotta you're a celebrity here, right, Tim, in West Virginia? You should call on Joe Manchin and say, hey, why don't you do this? Why are you not in favor of the child tax credit?
That dude is neoliberal
Totally.
to perfection. It's like that nobody
There we go. Neoliberal. Your sign that Mr. Don is about to come.
in West Virginia wants the guy.
Right. I mean,
And
he's very unpopular.
As a general rule, when I start hearing the term neoliberal, it's like
Yeah.
static. So
Yeah. Yeah. My brain turns off and I yearn for death.
Right.
That's not true. He's actually the most popular politician in West Virginia history.
Go talk to some people in West Virginia.
I'm sure you could find people.
Okay, Sean, credit to you. You're 100% right here. His popularity is dipping, but he is a relatively popular politician there, and the numbers back that up. So
Is he still? I thought he was super popular, and now he's like sort of waning a little bit.
it's going down. Yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead.
It is going down. I wasn't aware of this at this time, but like he was actually like for the longest time literally the most popular politician in West
Correct.
Virginia history.
Correct. Well, the question is like in electoral terms, it's like who's going to come up against him and beat him, right? Is he so unpopular that he's defeatable or vulnerable? Nothing I've seen has indicated that in any of my work, and I do like public polling for a living. So,
And in my opinion, by the way, I would say that the reason his polling is tanking is because a Democrat's in the White House, so he's getting like hit by that, because this is a guy who won overwhelmingly in a state where Trump won overwhelmingly, like when it was opposite party, and they still liked him then.
I hear you. He's pissed off our side quite a bit, but yeah.
How about no
I-
taxes for 5 kids? What do you guys think? A little bit higher bar.
Nope.
Hi, you just listened to a clip from the Sitch and Adams show. If you like what you heard, you can listen to our live show right here on this channel on Sunday, starting at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. And if you want, you can super chat us. We read $20 and up super chats on the show and then do a follow-up stream on the following Tuesday where we read the rest of the unread super chats and interact with fans of the show. Subscribe to this channel right here to listen to the live show or to listen to more of our awesome clips.